If you visited Walmart or Costco recently, you've seen the backpacks, lunch bags, and school stationery all out for sale, meaning we're at the tail end of summer, and very soon we'll be looking at the school year ripping back up, the roads getting busier, and with it, a bounce back of the real estate market. It's been a quiet year so far. From January to July this year, we've only seen 13,850 residential real estate transactions in Toronto's 416 between both houses and condos. This is only 50 sales higher than the same time period last year, and 2025 is on record as being the lowest sale year in the last 30 years. So for the second year in a row, the real estate market is performing remarkably poor, and the sales performance between 2025 and 2026 is shockingly similar. But given how we've pretty much had the same crappy market performance we had last year, is there anything we can learn and expect based off how fall last year turned out? Last year, we saw the remaining pent-up demand that didn't buy over the spring, in fact, transact over the fall. Last year, 2025 was actually one of the better fall seasons that we'd seen since the market pivoted in 2022. We had more sales surpassing fall 2022 and 2023 performance and matching pretty closely to 2024 performance. Not that I expect buyers to come out en masse and buy, or that there will be a market rebound. The fall market is usually a more mild, subdued market, and there are usually only like half the listings that come out in the fall. But last year's fall market energy matched the spring market energy, yielding decent overall sales and performance. I've been evaluating where we are in the overall market cycle and whether we've reached a bottom in terms of price and performance. Economically, and looking at market confidence, things still aren't great right now. The oil markets are still a big question, and we are an oil nation. Inflation creeping up both domestically here in Canada and south of the border in the US has economists evaluating whether we might actually see interest rates rise. Tariffs with the US and CUSMA have not been resolved, and AI continues to loom over everyone. But I also see that the big scary monster of decreased population growth, mortgage renewal apocalypse, and mortgage defaults has largely turned out to be a nothing burger, at least in Toronto real estate. AI is no longer news, and so far, our employment levels haven't dramatically changed. I recognize that a lot of the market uncertainty is being driven by the orange guy in the States, and he flip-flops a lot and rarely seems to execute what he threatens, so it also looks like the worst case scenario is pretty unlikely. And with that, I think it's fair to talk about what a market recovery actually looks like. As much as I've talked about pent-up demand in my videos, there is also a lot of pent-up supply. And any seller that is expecting a V-type bounce for price growth where the market basically makes a U-turn and aggressively appreciates over the next 2 to 3 years is probably going to be pretty disappointed. I have a relative who, since the market peaked in February 2022, has been waiting for those peak prices to come back. She's getting older, and every year that she stays in her home maintenance gets harder, her renovations get more outdated, and the wear on her home increases. And the demographic in her area changes more in a direction that is not supporting aggressive high price growth. Not only that, but since prices have continued their decline, the market needs to retrace a lot to get back to those levels. The person who timed their sale in 2022 is a wizard, but the one who sold in 2023 looks like a genius compared to the person who sold in 2024, but they also still look brilliant compared to the 2025 sale who still did better than the spring of 2026. And a big reason is a buyer will look at the most recent sale price in a neighborhood and assess what a good deal looks like to them compared to the most recent sales. If a similar house sold for $1 million 6 months ago, and you can get the same house for $940,000, for a buyer, that's compelling. But in studying home values, no one is looking at sale prices from 2 to 4 years ago for price guidance. That's yesterday's news. On the other hand, when the market shifts to a seller market after being in buyer market territory for years, buyers aren't looking to kill the competition. They literally just want to be the top offer by only $1. And so in a competitive environment, unless you have a very rare home, the top offers are still going to be conservative. Getting price out of the market had been drilled into buyers' minds from the aggressive price growth we saw throughout the 2010s. And so we're still dealing with the residuals of this sentiment, but only for sellers. Many would-be sellers are waiting for the market to bounce back and believe they're owed previous high prices, but given enough time, these sentiments will have no choice but to wash out. And so I expect market growth to be slow. Yes, we have a lot of pent-up demand from the last 4 years of below average sales, but we also have pent-up supply, and that will eventually relent and sell. And the markets will remain fairly flush with supply for the next few years. The relative in my story is my own mother, who drives from West Burlington to Etobicoke 3 times a week to go to church. She is getting more and more exhausted from the driving, is having difficulty maintaining her own property, but it will be life more than the market performance that will be the deciding factor for when she eventually moves. Time is undefeated. We won't see aggressive prices happen until Mania returns to the market. And that won't happen until we have an economy that's thriving in the new world order, until buyers feel certain that interest rates will remain stable at a low rate, until we have immigration reopened up in a big way, and until Canada is seen as a real economic and political player. And I think we're really far from almost all of that. Until then, I expect the market to slowly move along with very gradual growth. But I am looking forward to a more pragmatic market. So that's it for me this month. I'm Jonathan Lee, a Toronto realtor based in Etobicoke. If you're looking for assistance navigating this market, you can connect with me using the contact information below. Again, thanks for watching and all the support, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.